Hello, everybody, and let's see. Welcome to January, February, March, April, right? Wow. So we're doing a great job, not all over the country, but also here in the North State of trying to keep that line flat with the COVID-19. Wanted to give an update on what we have learned and what we see out in the community, especially with a lot of communities now trying to open back up at some level, but exercising caution still. We thought we'd give some information to all of you to help. So the first thing that you want to make sure you do is educate yourself. And there's a lot of marketing that's going on out there, and we see it every day, and we watch it every day on the internet and other places, and people talking to each other. A lot of it's marketing, and it's not necessarily the truth or an educational fact about what's really happening with COVID and what you can be doing to protect yourself. So be very careful between the difference between marketing and real education. Education such as when you go back now maybe to work is, do you have protocols in place? Have you looked at your business, your place of business, and evaluated it for where people will be sitting, what they'll be touching, what they'll be getting up and affecting every day now? This situation and environment has had us all change our habits at work, and now you're going back into that environment potentially. So you need to sit down and write some protocols so everybody's on the same page and everybody feels very comfortable with what you're trying to accomplish in your business. Not only your employees, but also how you're going to handle customers as well. So protocols are key. That will lead to your standards and what you're trying to do to stay open and conduct business and keep the economic engine going. So know the difference between education and marketing. Big difference. The other is, for instance, cleaning and disinfecting. Okay, there's a difference between those two words, and we hear them a lot used together or as one, and they're not. They're both different. Oh, we had the place cleaned and such. Oh, we cleaned and disinfected. There's two different things going on there. Were you cleaning the place or were you disinfecting the place? It's two separate entities that we would go through in a process if we were called in to do the work. And you got to make sure that you're not having someone come and just clean, but you're actually going to be doing disinfecting as well. And how do those two work together? And are you doing it properly to make sure that your disinfecting process is working correctly? So difference between those two words, and make sure you're getting the right service for what you're trying to accomplish in your business. The next thing we'd like to talk about is the products. There's a lot of products out there, and obviously you want to get things that are registered, or the labels are registered with the EPA, and you can go online and see a lot of those products. They've added a lot more products to that list. They've taken some products off. So make sure you're looking at that product list if you're going to get some type of product to help you disinfect on an ongoing basis. Some of the things you want to look for in a product that are very critical. There's something called a dwell time, D-W-E-L-L. And basically what a dwell time is the amount of time that that product needs to sit in a certain area or wherever area you've disinfected to make sure it's effective on the virus. It's called efficacy rates, basically, as they judge how long it needs to be on there for a dwell time to make sure it does, in fact, neutralize, if you will, that virus. So make sure you're looking at the dwell time. Many products can go from 4 to 10 minutes. So the reason I bring that up is I see a lot of people spraying and wiping. And that's great that you're doing that, but basically you're not really creating the right environment to kill that virus because you're spraying and wiping. You're not letting that product sit long enough, the dwell time, if you will, based on the label, to be effective. So pay attention. If you're gonna get a product or use products, or someone suggests a product, make sure you read the label, the EPA label, and it'll give you instructions of how to effectively use that product. So dwell time is critical. The other is it a neutral product? Is it a product that needs to be not only sprayed but then come back and wiped down afterwards? Or is it a product that can be put on an application and then left to evaporate? That's called neutral. Is it a neutral product? So which type of product do you want to use, and how effective would that be in your business? And the last thing there I would say is there's a lot of organic products as well. We happen to use some great organic products because we do a lot of work in agricultural around food. And so this is a perfect example too of what I was saying earlier about getting educated. Every business can be different. So you need to get a product that best fits your environment that could be effective there. So for instance, we use a product that's organic when we go into agricultural areas or places that have food stuff, if you will, if that's a word. And we use that product because we know it's organically safe. So the product's critical. The next phase would be the application. And we've heard a lot of things here about application. And it's interesting, again, marketing, levels of application. We have 3 levels, we have these levels. The levels is marketing basically because, quite frankly, you as the customer really dictate to us what the application is going to be. It's different in every case. As I just said, in agriculture with foodstuffs, conveyor belts with food, we might use an organic product. In a warehouse, we might use a different type of product. And in a warehouse, we might use a different application. Instead of doing high touch, we might do electrostatic spraying. So levels is just a marketing term. It's really about you, the customer, talking to us as a company that does this and identifying the plan that's needed for you to be the most effective. That's the way you get it done. There's high touch, you might be hearing that out there. High touch, basically hitting the areas in a business where people touch the most. That's it, high touch. Doorknobs, desktops, going in the bathroom, places like that, common areas, you hit the high touch, okay? There's also pump spray, and then there's also electrostatic spray. And that's, again, sometimes people have seen it as fogging, which is a marketing term. It's electrostatic spraying and such when you're fogging an area because of the, if you're trying to get it into areas where maybe a high touch won't get. You're trying to get it into higher up areas or areas that have high density, a lot of density, like in warehouses with racks and such. We might use that type of application. So again, application is critical. The other thing we'll just comment on is the masks and gloves and self-protection and social distancing. Those are all great things that need to be done, and it depends on the individuals, I guess, as to how comfortable you feel in the new environment, especially going back to work. Break them down one at a time. The social distancing, 6 feet, is basically because this is a droplet virus. This is not an airborne bacteria. This is a droplet virus, which means if you're speaking to somebody and they happen to have some saliva or situations come out of their mouth when they're talking, like my old uncle used to do, he gets excited and kind of the droplets come out of his mouth. Well, that's what can take the virus from me to another individual. And if you're 6 feet away, that's about the width or length, if you will, that a droplet will carry before it goes and hits the ground and disseminates. So that's why the 6 feet or more. So it's a droplet-based virus. That's social distancing. The mask is really to help you protect others from you. And so that's a socially correct thing to do, is have the mask on so those droplets don't come out of your mouth or nose and such. And if it happens to when you're talking to somebody. So the mask, again, is really to protect others from you, and can be a very nice thing for you to do in making them feel better about the environment around them. The gloves, there's questions on the gloves because everybody knows you put a glove on and you can cross-contaminate areas if, in fact, you do touch a virus and it gets on the glove and goes there. But gloves are good to wear as well occasionally when you're going into a certain place. And then make sure you're just properly taking the gloves off correctly inside each other, and so that the inside becomes the outside when you dispose of them. And then I would use hand sanitizer or wipes or something, or definitely go wash your hands afterwards to make sure you're good to go. The other thing the mask and gloves do is they give you kind of a psychological feeling to not touch your face. It's a reminder to not touch your face or touch areas or wipe your eyes. When you have the mask on or the gloves, it seems to just have you not do that as much as when you do not have it on, you sometimes still touch your face based out of habit. So that's what that's all about, and everybody needs to have a comfort level of how they feel about those things. So the last part is another application that people maybe aren't talking about that we have found is somewhat effective. A lot of people ask us about what about other products or other things in the office, such as papers on my desk, or all the trinkets that are on my desk, or all the things that might not be able to be wiped down every day, and that type of thing. We have found that what we'll do is use an ozone system. We use the ozone system to gather that clutter, if you will, up, and those papers, and we can effectively take those off campus and ozone them, then quarantine them for a while, and make sure that we disinfect those items as well if we're not going to wipe all that down. So that's another area we can discuss if you ever call us and we can talk about. The last thing here I would say is that make sure when you do go back to your office and you get back out there, reduce the clutter, reduce the things on your desk that you are touching and moving and every day. Just reduce a lot of that so that you don't have it on several items if in fact there is a chance that the virus is in the office or something like that. So reduce the clutter in the office, keep your social distancing, don't get complacent in the office, keep the protocols, keep the standards. It's important that just because you're back at the office, not everybody may or may not have a situation with COVID, but I think it's best that you keep those protocols in place, keep your distancing, and go ahead, and if you want to get a product and wipe down every day, that's important as well. Because, as you know, if somebody comes in and does disinfect your building or your office or whatever, like we do, the minute we walk out of there and somebody else walks back in, it could be subject to it being infected again from the virus. So it's only disinfected at the time that we do that and leave, basically. So it's an ongoing process that you might have to put in place with your businesses. But the good news is we're trying to get back. We're trying to get back to some semblance of normalcy, and that's the good news. But let's exercise caution still for not only ourselves but our customers, and see if we can get the economic engine going and keep it going. So be safe out there. If you have any questions, always, we're here to answer them. CRBR.com. We're always updating the website, giving you more information like this, or pick up the phone and call us. And we'd love to talk to you about your plan, your protocol, give you an idea. We're committed to these communities we're in, from Redding to Chico to Yuba City, Sacramento, and Reno. We've been in these communities, and we plan on being here a long time. It's been over 60 years, and we plan on being there even longer. So keep up the good work, and we'll see everybody out there. Thanks. Take care.